They thought she was a nobody. They thought she didn't belong because of a faded jacket, a worn pair of boots, and a rifle that looked like it belonged in a museum. But they were wrong. It started like this. The Hawthorne Elite Shooting Range glimmered like a glass fortress under the California sun. Black marble floors, mirrored ceilings, and VIP-only lanes guarded by velvet ropes. Inside, tech moguls, military brass, and spoiled heirs compared scores over artisanal coffee like it was Wall Street. Then she walked in. A young woman. Quiet, alone. Her name was Elena Ward. She wore an old army green jacket, frayed at the cuffs. Her jeans were worn, her boots scuffed. Slung over her back was an M1 Garand rifle, an antique by today's standards. Heads turned. Brows furrowed. The silence broke. She lost? A teenage trust fund kid muttered, his designer tracksuit gleaming like tinfoil. The receptionist, a man named Blake Dennison, raised an eyebrow. His polished name badge glinted as he stepped in front of her. VIP lanes don't admit wanderers, he said, eyes scanning her clothes like she was some kind of charity case. This isn't a community center. Elena didn't flinch. She simply reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a worn, laminated VIP pass. Blake scoffed. Where'd you get that? eBay? He scanned it anyway. Beep. Green light. Valid. His smirk vanished, but instead of apologizing, he muttered, "Someone's getting fired for this," and stepped aside. A boy in the lounge snorted. "They're letting janitors shoot now?" The laughter followed her as she walked through the double glass doors into the lounger space gleaming with weaponry more expensive than most people's homes. Everywhere, eyes followed her. Phones came out. Live streams flicked on. Number, lost girl at Hawthorne. Number, mop and shoot. Elena didn't say a word. She kept walking. Her rifle case creaked as she laid it on the bench. Her fingers moved with quiet grace, loading bullets with the same care someone might fold a flag. She didn't look at the crowd. She didn't need to. "Hey," a tall girl with perfect blonde curls and $5,000 optics gear sneered. "This isn't the set of some war movie. Take that relic and go home." That was Tessa Langston, a sponsored shooter and brand ambassador for a luxury rifle brand. Her words were loud intentionally so. A live stream mic caught everything. Elena looked at her, expression unreadable. Still no response. Then came the challenge. "Tell you what," said a man with a smirk too sharp to be friendly. He wore all black tactical gear, sleeves rolled just enough to show off military tattoos and a watch that cost more than rent. His name was Aiden Cross, son of a senator, heir to a private defense empire. "If you can outshoot me, I'll walk away. Today, publicly. But if I beat you," his eyes gleamed, "you're out, gone. Just a funny little glitch in the system." The crowd whooped. Phones tilted. Hashtags bloomed. Elena nodded. Not a word. She moved to lane 8. Someone whispered, "She's going to embarrass herself." Another added, "That rifle probably jams on the second shot." The range's director, Colonel Grant Bishop, a retired Marine who now ran this elite facility with an iron clipboard, crossed his arms as he watched. He raised an eyebrow but didn't intervene. A girl in a Ralph Lauren jacket tossed a crumpled napkin near Elena's boot. "Clean that up, janitor." Elena didn't even blink. As she loaded the last round, the camera caught her fingers steady, precise, like they'd done this 1,000 times before. And in the hospital room across town, a woman grey-haired, weak from chemotherapy, watched the stream from a tablet in trembling hands. Her eyes welled up. That was her daughter. And she was about to remind the world who she was. Elena stood at lane 8 like it was a church pew. The lounge behind her buzzed with arrogance. Jokes flew like cheap bullets. Maybe she thinks this is a history museum. She's gonna miss the target and hit the ceiling. Aiden Cross finished his prep. His sleek carbon fiber rifle gleamed under the LED lights. A team assistant dabbed sweat from his brow. He fired 3 warm-up shots, 9.9, 10, 10. His fans roared. On the scoreboard, his name pulsed in red. Aiden Cross, 99.7. He turned, smiled at Elena, and gave a mock salute. "Your turn, sweetheart." She didn't even look at him. Instead, Elena removed her coat slowly, revealing a plain grey t-shirt tucked into old denim. No logos, no sponsor patches. Only the faint outline of a military emblem stitched near the collar faded by time. She placed her M1 Garand on the bench with reverence, not flash. The room fell quieter not because they respected her, but because they were waiting for a disaster. They had their captions ready, their fingers hovered over send. She chambered the first round, her breathing stilled, The world outside Lane 8 no longer existed. Bang! A soft ping from the digital target. Score: 10.00. Somebody coughed. A few chuckles. Okay, lucky shot. She chambered another. Bang! 10.00. A couple heads turned. Tessa Langston narrowed her eyes. The third shot. Bang! 10.00. Now it wasn't luck, it was math. Colonel Bishop leaned in from the back of the room, his clipboard slowly lowering. The lounge quieted. Fourth shot. Bang! 10.00. Fifth. 10.00. Sixth. 10.00. Now they were staring. No one was laughing. Phones were still recording, but the captions changed. Comments on the live stream poured in. Who is she? This isn't real. She's cooking these elites in silence. Tessa's hands trembled as she adjusted her scope. Aiden's jaw clenched. His smile faded. Seventh shot. 10.00. Eighth. 10.00. By the ninth, people were standing, even the ones who mocked her earlier. Tyler Onsay, joking about her jacket, was now gripping his $12,000 rifle like it might break in shame. Mia, the girl who tossed the napkin, whispered to her friend, "She's not supposed to be able to do this." Ninth shot, 10.00. A technician nearby dropped a headset. Colonel Bishop stepped forward, lips parting slightly. His eyes scanned the rifle. His voice dropped into a whisper. That's military issue. Vietnam era, but only elite snipers ever qualified with that precision. He glanced at his assistant. Find out who she is. The assistant blinked. No record, just Elena Ward, no affiliations, guest pass from a Colonel Jonathan Reeves. Bishop froze. Reeves? As in the Ghost Reeves? The sniper who trained SEALs? The assistant nodded. Retired, passed away 2 years ago. Ward was listed as next of kin. The colonel's face went pale. 10th shot. The screen flashed. Score: 10.00. Then a digital chime. Not just any Chimeitha Facilities record break notification. The screen blinked red, then gold. New record: 100.00 Eleanor Ward. The lounge went silent. No one breathed. The only sound was the metallic click as she ejected her last casing. Aiden Cross was frozen. His perfect 99.7 meant nothing now. She didn't look at him. She didn't need to. She stepped back from the line, calm and steady, her M1 slung across her shoulder like a mantle. Phones were now capturing her with reverence, not ridicule. Coach Pierce, standing near the wall, stared in awe. That grouping, that's impossible, he muttered. Tessa Langston, pale, dropped her fancy optics. She just erased us. Colonel Bishop finally spoke. His voice, rough from years of command, boomed across the room. Ladies and gentlemen, we just witnessed the finest shooting in the history of Hawthorne. He turned to Elena. Miss Ward, you're no guest. You're a damn legend. She nodded slightly. Not proud, not smug, just quiet. A few seconds later, Aiden stepped forward, voice hoarse. I don't know who trained you, he said, but I've never seen anything like that. Eleanor met his eyes for the first time. Hers were calm, unwavering. My father did, she said, when I was 6. Aiden's jaw clenched. His heart stumbled. She turned and began walking away, not out of arrogance, but because her job was done. The crowd parted, like royalty passing through. A live stream comment shot to the top. She didn't raise her voice, she raised the standard. And just like that, everything at Hawthorne changed. The lounge was no longer a place of laughter. It was a place of reckoning. Every smirk had vanished. Every snide comment was now an echo of regret. Elena Ward stood calmly near the leaderboard, where her name had just replaced a dozen legacies. The gold-lit screen read, Eleanor Ward, 100.00, all-time record. A stunned silence lingered thick, heavy. Then it shattered. Colonel Bishop, now visibly moved, stepped toward the digital board, raised a remote, and tapped into the facility's archives. The livestream camera zoomed in as the screen revealed. VIP pass issued by Colonel Jonathan Reeves. Status: Legacy access, lifetime honor. A collective gasp. Someone near the back whispered, Wait, Reeves, the ghost? Colonel Bishop turned to face the room, his voice shaking, but not from weakness, from respect. For those of you who don't know, he said, loud and clear, Colonel Jonathan Reeves wasn't just a sniper. He was the man who rewrote the rulebook on long-range combat. He trained elite SEALs, Delta Force, even CIA operatives. He was a living myth. He paused, and he only ever trained one civilian. He turned to Elena, his daughter. A sound rippled through the lounge. Not applause, not yet, just breath-sharp, stunned, reverent. All eyes turned back to Elena, the girl they had mocked for her jacket, for her rifle, for daring to stand in their sanctuary of status. Tessa Langston still, holding her optics like a lifeline, backed away slowly. Her voice cracked. She could have embarrassed us all, but she didn't say a word. Aiden Cross swallowed hard. His confidence had curdled into something else. Admiration. I challenged her to a duel like it was a game, he muttered. She ended it like it was a legacy. Mia, the girl who threw the napkin, quietly picked it up from the floor and slipped it into her purse, as if hiding her shame might erase it. Connor, who had once laughed the loudest, was now live-streaming not for clout but for history. And Coach Pierce? He stepped forward too. He looked at Elena like a man seeing the North Star for the first time. I've coached Olympians, he said. I've trained soldiers. But that was something else. He turned to the staff. Derek, Vance, stand down. Derek, the receptionist who had first blocked Elena at the door, went pale. Professor Vance, who had mocked her rifle as a museum piece, tried to disappear behind a potted plant. Colonel Bishop raised a hand. Effective immediately, both of you are suspended pending review, he said, because at Hawthorne, skill not status sets the standard. The crowd murmured. This was more than a correction. It was a cleansing. Then Bishop turned back to Elena. You didn't come here for applause, he said. You came here to honor someone. Elena nodded. Just once. I made a promise, she said softly. After my father passed, I told him I'd fire one last perfect set with his rifle, on a range that deserved to remember him. And now they would. Forever. The livestream audience exploded. Comments flooded in. That's not just talent, that's legacy. This girl brought dignity back to the range. From mock jokes to military legend, this is cinema. I'm crying and she didn't say 20 words. Colonel Bishop gestured to the digital wall again. He tapped once. A new plaque blinked into place. Honor Wall, Colonel Jonathan Reeves. Memorial Range, dedicated to Elena Ward's 100.00 record. The lights in the lounge dimmed as a spotlight fixed on Elena. And still, she didn't boast, didn't smirk, didn't lecture. She simply slung her rifle back across her shoulder, turned to leave, and walked. But before she reached the exit, a voice called out. It was Aiden Cross. Wait. He stepped forward, no longer swaggering, no longer smug. Just humbled. You didn't have to say a word, he said. You beat all of us without raising your voice. Elena paused. Her smile was slight but radiant, like the sun breaking through the fog. My father taught me, she said, that real aim doesn't come from the barrel, it comes from stillness. She turned again, stepping through the parting crowd. And this time, the silence she left behind wasn't mocking, it was sacred. The doors of Hawthorne Elite Range closed behind her with a soft, final click. But inside, everything had changed. Phones weren't held up for ridicule anymore. They were recording a moment people would talk about for years, a legend born in real time. Elena Ward had walked in as a nobody and left as the new benchmark. Inside, the once proud elite stood in silence. Tessa Langston quietly packed up her $6,000 sniper rig. No comments, no interviews. Her modeling contract, still intact, but she knew it would never carry the same weight again. Not after today. Tyler, who once sneered about janitors, sat frozen beside his untouched rifle. His entourage had drifted away, leaving him alone with a scoreboard that now mocked his mediocrity. Mia Hole, the girl who had tossed the napkin, slipped out the side door without a word. Her designer jacket felt too tight now, like it no longer fit who she wanted to be. And Aiden Cross? He stood in the middle of the lounge, still looking at the door Elena had disappeared through. His heart was thudding not from defeat, but from awakening. Because sometimes, it takes losing everything you thought mattered to realize what truly does. A week later, Hawthorne's lobby had changed. Gone were the exclusive portraits of tech heirs and Olympic sons. In their place stood a digital Muralton shots, one woman, and a name engraved in white gold text. Elena Ward, record holder. Silence is strength, dignity is aim. The livestream replay of her performance had reached 27 million views in 5 days. Number Alina Ward, number Silence Over Status, and number 100 Shots of Grace trended across every platform. People who had never touched a rifle watched that footage in tears, not for the weapon, not for the range, but for what it meant to be underestimated and to rise. A young girl in Idaho posted a video holding her late grandfather's rifle, saying, "I'm not ashamed of this anymore, because Elena wasn't." A Marine veteran commented, "That's the kind of daughter we dreamed of raising." And back at the hospital, Elena's mother-frail but beaming watched the footage over and over, her hand trembling over her heart every time the 10th shot landed dead center. A month passed, and something remarkable happened. Aidan Cross requested to see Elena again, not with a press team or photographers, but quietly. He found her at a modest outdoor range 2 towns away. No marble floors, no digital targets, just wooden benches, paper circles, and pine needles underfoot. She was teaching a teenage boy how to breathe between shots. Aidan waited. When she noticed him, she gave a small nod, not surprised, just calm, like she'd known he'd come. He stepped forward. "I don't deserve your time," he said, "but I'd be a fool not to try." Elena looked at the student beside her, who gave an eager thumbs up after a solid shot. Then she turned to Aidan, her voice soft but grounded. "People can change," she said, "but only if they're quiet long enough to listen." He smiled, this time not cocky, not performative, just sincere. "I'm listening." They didn't hug, they didn't kiss, but something passed between theme and unspoken agreement to start from truth, not performance. Back at Hawthorne, Colonel Bishop stood before a new group of recruits. He pointed to the leaderboard. "This," he said, tapping Elena's name, "is not just about accuracy, it's about character." She didn't raise her voice, she raised the bar. He turned to the class. "You want to be elite? Start by learning how to stand in silence and let your work speak. Greatness doesn't wear a crown. It doesn't demand your attention. It doesn't shout. It walks in quietly and leaves the world no choice but to remember." Elena Ward didn't shoot for applause. She aimed for legacy and hit it 10 times out of 10. If this story moved you, leave a comment below. Have you ever been underestimated and proved them wrong in silence? Tag someone who needs to be reminded. Your value isn't in how loud you are, it's in what you leave behind.